Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of GIZ and Sustainable and Renewable Energy Development Authority, SREDA, I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar on role of women in building an energy-conscious society. I am Al-Mudabbir bin Anam, the Program Coordinator of GIZ Implemented Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Program in Bangladesh, and I have the privilege of moderating today's webinar. Before starting the sessions, I would like to inform you that this webinar will be recorded. As you know, energy plays a vital role in poverty eradication, economic growth, sustainable infrastructure development of any country, and women play an important role as agents of change. With remarkable progress in economic development, poverty alleviation, Bangladesh has already set a clear guiding path towards prosperity and human development. Development in power sector is still mostly treated as gender neutral, based on the assumption that energy impacts men and women in similar ways, often leading to gender blind approaches. However, women and men often have distinct variation in relation to energy production and usage patterns. With these remarks, I would like to invite Ms. Salima Jahan, Member Joint Secretary, Renewable Energy SREDA, to give her welcome speech. Member Renewable Energy, madam, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now Mrs. Salima Jahan, who is Member Renewable Energy from SREDA. She will deliver the welcome speech. Madam, please go on.
Thank you very much. Respected Chief Guest, Special Guest, Chairperson of today's webinar, and Chairman SREDA, learned participants, distinguished representatives from the government, private sector, civil society, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and belated greetings of Women's Day. On behalf of Sustainable Renewable Energy Development Authority, SREDA, a warm welcome to you all. Today's webinar tackles a question that is not often explored. What is the role of women in building an energy-conscious society? Today, we'll emphasize on women's role in developing energy consciousness. We'll also try to identify the perception of men and women towards energy and their behavior as consumers of energy. In Mandarin Chinese language, there is a word, weiji, means console or comfort. In every misfortune or misery, the Chinese people find opportunity that gives them comfort. During the past year, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of disruptions in our lives, but it has also forced us to be innovative. In fact, COVID-19 is a blessing in disguise. Had there been no pandemic situation, many innovative ideas would remain unexplored. We call this situation new normal. In this changed world order, inclusion of women in our development process has got a different momentum. Here I would like to share two lines from Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore. Amra shobai raja amader ei rajar rajotte, noile moder rajar shone milbo ki shotte. Surely, we all are equal in the eye of law, and we all have to have equitable share in our resources. Bangladesh has been lucky enough to move forward under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She always put stress not just on development, but on sustainable development. Being an energy conscious person herself, she encourages all government organizations to be aware of resource limitations and to use energy responsibly. The government is also committed towards establishing gender equity and equality. As you all know, HPM is the minister for the Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources. Under her guidance, Power Division through SREDA has always been exploring newer dimensions of sustainable energy. Today's webinar is one of the activities implemented by SREDA to mark the birth centennial of the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. German Development Cooperation, GIZ, is our partner in today's webinar. Let's now talk about the sessions. We have a renowned keynote speaker amongst us, Ms. Christine Linz, and a panel of experts in their respective fields. We also expect to hear from all of you to have some innovative ideas to include women in a more sustainable manner to build an energy conscious society. Thanks very much indeed for joining us today.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting the scene. Uh, as you know, that Bangladesh has met all the criteria to graduate to developing country from least developed country status this year. We are also eyeing towards to be an advanced economy by 2041. Therefore, it is also important that the development trajectory is sustainable through environmentally sound, equitable, and economic provision of energy for the longer term. Development of a society, energy conscious societal behavior, as well as responsible generation and use of energy is very crucial. Gender should be considered as critical elements towards designing that path and sustaining impact, since women are the key enabler in development of such a conducive society. Right now, it's the time for the keynote presentation, and we have with us Ms. Kristen Lenz, who is the Executive Director of Global Women's Network for the Energy Transition, which aims at empowering women in the sustainable energy sector. And furthermore, she is the member of the Board of Directors of International Solar Energy Society. From July 2011 to March 2018, Kristen Lenz acted as the Executive Secretary of REN21, the Renewable Energy Policy Network of the 21st Century, headquartered at UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme in Paris. Between 2001 and 2011, Ms. Lenz served as Secretary General of the European Renewable Energy Council. Previously, she also worked in a regional energy agency in Austria, promoting energy efficiency and renewable energy sources. Ms. Lenz holds a master's degree in international economics and applied language. She has more than 25 years of working experience in the field of renewable energy sources and energy efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite Ms. Kristen Lenz for the keynote presentation of today's webinar. Ms. Lenz, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mudabir Anan, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Also from my side, I would like to thank the organizers for the kind invitation to speak to you at this prominent event today about energizing women to advance the energy transition. If I can have my next slide, please. GWNET, the Global Women's Network for the Energy Transition, is a non-profit association created in 2017 with the aim to empower women in order to advance the energy transition more rapidly. And we do this through interdisciplinary networking, advocacy training, coaching and mentoring, because we are convinced that the energy transition would advance more quickly if there are more women on board. So we are creating a network of women from all around the world. And I'm proud to say that we have now over 1,500 members from 100 plus countries. If I can have my next slide, please. One of the things we are doing is we run global mentorship programs because we have found out that it's a good way to advance the role of women as agents of change in society by encouraging younger women in this field. And I have some echo now. And by helping them with putting a more senior mentor at their side, we are in this respect also collaborating with GIZ, and we have just launched earlier, actually 2 days ago, a series of regional and national mentoring programs for Latin America, the MENA region, India, China, Ethiopia, and South Africa, in cooperation with GIZ and BMWI, the German Ministry for Economy and Energy, as part of the German Energy Partnership programs. If I can have my next slide, please. When we take the definition of the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies, we see that the energy transition is a multidimensional, complex and non-linear and non-deterministic process. It's clear that it radically reforms the existing energy supply and energy demand systems. And this clearly goes beyond just replacing fossil sources with clean energy sources. It's all about changing consumption patterns, distribution and investment patterns. It requires new coalitions and capabilities of actors, and we will need new socio-technical regimes of policy, regulation, mindsets, beliefs, and social practices. And clearly, this behavior change requires diverse backgrounds, capabilities, and perspectives, and it will require a large and diverse pool of talent. And on my next slide, please, you see that we currently globally have around 11.5 million people working in the renewable energy sector. These are numbers coming from IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and this figure is seen to increase to 42 million jobs in 2050. So quite a steep increase from 11.5 to 42. What we know, we have worked with IRENA, collaborated on a study which is called Renewable Energy, a Gender Perspective. And there, the result was that the share of women in the renewable energy workforce is with 32% higher than the share of women in conventional oil and gas industry, where it is only 22%. But still, you see that when we look at STEM jobs, at the technical jobs, the share is even lower, and we are far away from gender parity. And we are absolutely convinced that it will be a key success factor for the renewables industry to attract the best talents of both men and women if this energy transition is successful and if it is as quick as we all want to see it. If I can have my next slide, please. We have identified a series of policies and solutions on how women's participation in the energy sector can be increased. And they range from mainstreaming gender perspectives through gender audits, training in gender awareness. It's about creating networks and supporting mentorship. It's about access to education and training. It's gender targets and quotas, workplace policies and regulation are important. And of course, work-life balance is also important in order to provide flexibility to be able to combine job and family life. So this is just an overview about the many possible interventions in both companies and also governmental policies that can be set to increase women's participation in this sector. Next slide, please. GWNET earlier has launched a study which is entitled Women for Sustainable Energy, Strategies to Foster Women's Talents for Transformational Change. And this is our first study, which contains an overview of women's current participation in the sustainable energy workforce in both developed and emerging economies. It also sheds a light on the benefits of diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and also provides good practice examples and recommendations from both governments and also the private sector for a more gender diverse energy sector. So I'm inviting you to consult the study. It's available for free on our website. You can download it from there. Next slide, please. And there we have looked through literature, and it's clear that gender equality is a powerful tool. Not only is the access to employment on equal terms with men a human right of women, but we also see that gender equality improves global GDP quite significantly. You see the numbers here on the slide. And we also see in several studies that companies with diverse leadership have better results. They are better prepared to survive financial shock. I'm sure that we will soon see studies indicating that companies with diverse leadership will better navigate through the current pandemic. We also see that these companies have improved profitability with 34 to 69% higher profits. They have more increased innovation, more investment in R&D and use of talent. They are less exposed to risk through overconfidence, which results in 44% higher returns. They show increased action on environmental issues, have decreased litigation for environmental breaches, and have more stringent decarbonization policies. And as Christine Lagarde, the former managing director of the IMF and currently the president of the European Central Bank, has put it, when women join the workforce, everyone benefits. And I think this is really a powerful statement that showing that it does not only make sense from a human rights perspective, but it is also economically really viable. If I can have my next slide, please. What we see, however, and when we did this study, we tried to look at women in other sectors, because initially we thought we look at other sectors and then see what lessons we can draw for the energy sector. And it's clear that there is no global evidence that one sector does much better than others. Regardless of the industry, no industry is universally doing better. There are some sectors and companies that do well in one country, but then poorer in others. And there is no standout to look to cross culturally. And one commonality is that women's leadership decreases with seniority in the company in all sectors. And this you clearly see on the slide here, whether it's banking, whether it's consumer packaged goods, whether it's technical consumer tech, or also energy or engineering. So this is quite across all the sectors. If I can have the next slide, please. What we have as a situation in the energy sector, and when we did our global survey back in 2019 for this study with IRENA, Renewable Energy Agenda Perspective, we witnessed that there are no harmonized data sets. So we have very different statistics for women's participation. In Germany, 12% of women in renewable energy executive positions. In India, 30% of STEM students are female, which is quite a high share. In the EU, it's only 11%. So in South Africa, we have 33% women across renewable energy IPPs, international power producers, and in the US, 32% women in wind energy. So these data are all quite anecdotal. And we see, despite the fact that there are some recent efforts, outputs of these different studies vary quite significantly, because methodologies vary, study boundaries vary, and the respondents also vary. And this is quite important because we know that at the outset of any policy, data and sound and reliable data is required. So GWNET is continuing to work with IRENA on bringing more clarity to this. We have last year launched a report on women in the wind sector. We are currently working on women in solar, and IRENA has just yesterday, on the International Women's Day on Monday, has launched a survey for women in solar. So we also encourage you to look into this in order to provide more data and like this provide better decisions for provide better data sets as a basis for decision makers to take action in this field. If I can have my next slide, please. Clearly, we see that there are lots of opportunities in the sustainable energy sector for gender equality. And these are that given talent shortage, businesses worldwide must take the best use of all available talents, and they are both with the men and the women. We see that sustainable energy is a relatively young sector with few bad habits to overcome. So We don't yet have these long time established power structures. So this is also an opportunity. We see that the sector can harness green and values-driven reputation. And then it has the opportunity to lead on inclusive business practices and can create a more productive and innovative workforce. And then, of course, it has the opportunities to provide inclusive and flexible workplaces that work for all people, their families, and communities. And as I have mentioned before, we clearly see that gender balance and diversity are good for business. Next slide, please. We have also, and I would like to just draw your attention to this, created a campaign showcasing women entrepreneurs in the energy field, which we call Energy Transition Role Models. These are women working across different disciplines and countries, and we want to give female leadership visibility and thereby inspire and encourage others, especially young female students and graduates, to maybe follow this example and start their own business. Also, this campaign is accessible from our website. Next slide, please. So, in a nutshell, I tried to give you an overview why we absolutely think that gender equality is not only good for an inclusive and just energy transition, but it makes a lot of economic sense. And I would also like to invite the women on this webinar to join our network of women energy professionals around the world, because we see that there are lots of women out there in this field, but sometimes they lack visibility. And we are providing this platform to empower them and also to provide connectivity and networking opportunities among all these women in sustainable energy, from junior to top management. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention and give the floor back to Mutabir Anna. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lenz. I think this already brings us to the topic. There are very interesting information and provocating thoughts already there. I do not see any immediate question and comments in the chat box, and that may lead to our next session. And we are also very much on time, thanks to the presenter as well. The next session is a panel discussion, and we have today with us three eminent panelists who have quite a strong technical background and considerable work experience in the energy field. The three panelists are Ms. Farjana Mamtaj, Member, Joint Secretary, Energy Efficiency and Conservation, SREDA. We also have with us Ms. Tanuja Bhattacharjee, Energy Specialist at the World Bank Bangladesh office. And we have Ms. Asma Haq, Managing Director, Prakoshali Shamsudali Limited. I'd request all the panelists to maybe open up the microphone and also show your video. I already see Tanuja. I'd request also ma'am and Asma Appa to open the video. Maybe a little background on the panelists. So Ms. Farjana Mamtaj has been serving in SREDA as Member, Energy Efficiency and Conservation since last year. Preceding to her appointment in SREDA, she was a Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Industries. Ms. Mumtaz joined Bangladesh Civil Service in 1995 in the administration cadre. In her long career spanning over 24 years of services, she served in various policy formulation, execution, and field administration roles at different ministries, divisions, and districts of Bangladesh, including technical positions at the Ministry of Power, Energy, and Mineral Resources. Ms. Mamtaj graduated with a master's degree in applied physics and electronics from Dhaka University. She obtained 2 more master's degrees, MS in information technology from Flinders University, Australia, and master in public health from North South University. The second panelist we have Ms. Tanuja Bhattacharjee, who joined World Bank Bangladesh office in 2017 as an energy specialist. Since then, she has been primarily engaged in projects as well as analytical and advisory works on renewable energy, energy efficiency, rural electrification, and energy service for refugee communities. In her previous appointments, she also worked in a couple of organizations, including GIZ, on leading renewable energy company in Bangladesh, as well as faculty positions in universities. She also worked in biomass combustion and energy conversion research at Dalhousie University in Canada. Ms. Tanuja completed her Master in Engineering in Energy from AIT Thailand and also a Bachelor in Mechanical Engineering from WET. She also holds a postgraduate diploma in Disaster Management from Dhaka University. The third panelist, Engineer Asma Haq, is the Managing Director of Prokoushali Sanshad Limited. She has wide experience in the management of renewable energy projects in the rural and urban setting in Bangladesh. Her experience includes feasibility studies, socioeconomic survey, technology assessment in renewable energy technology, program and project design, implementation, supervision of renewable energy projects, technical training on solar home system, etc., and etc. She also worked as the monitoring specialist of the KfW-funded project, Productive Use of Renewable Energy program implemented by ITCOL. She was responsible for design and supervision of the country's first commercially operating 100 kilowatt solar mini grid in the island called Shandip. Ms. Asma Haq has a master's degree in industrial engineering and management from AIT Bangkok, and also she holds a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering from WET. So thank you, the honorable panelists, for joining today. And maybe I would like to start my first question to member Energy Efficiency Sreda. Ma'am, how can we engage more women in the sustainable power sector development, if you kindly elaborate? The time is around 2 to 3 minutes.
Honorable Chief Guest, special guests, Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to you all. I'm so honored to have been given a floor to say something on the role of women in building an energy conscious society. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the presenter for such a well articulated and detailed presentation on energizing women to advance the energy transition. The question I have been asked is that how can we engage more women in the sustainable power sector development? Since I am working in this field for quite a long time in the power and energy sector, from my experience, let me start with the role of women in the power sector. The active involvement of women in the power sector is of twofold. One is technical involvement and the other is policy level involvement. Women engaging in technical fields are basically concerned about the generation, transmission, distribution of power and maintenance of the same with technological soundness. These tasks are basically done by respective engineers, male or female. The other engagement of women in the power sector lies in the appropriate policy formulation that coincides with other development priorities of the government, either local or global. In this role, women need not to be an engineer or have a technical background. However, it's not denying the fact that as policymakers, women having a technical background would definitely be in a better position in disposing their duties and formulating appropriate policies and programs more professionally in the sector. Considering these two roles of women in the power sector, we need to have proper strategies in place so that women, be an engineer or not, can perform with their full potential. If we consider the global scenario of women in energy, we can see the percentage is still far below than 50%. In Bangladesh, the participation of women, especially in technical education, is growing day by day, but their entry in the power sector is not up to the mark. The main reason behind is the social structure, where most of the family and or household responsibility lies with the women. As a result, women prefer desk jobs rather than the field ones for easier work-home balance. In order to encourage more participation, we need to disseminate success stories of women leading in the sector so that other women are encouraged to come forward and take the challenge of becoming an energy leader. For creating an enabling environment, our strategic intervention therefore needs to focus on attracting highly qualified female talent at the entry level, retaining female employees in the mid-career, offering adequate support and viable options to achieve their professional goals, offering a reasonable work-life balance through a provision of personalized career advice and guidance, supporting young parents with flexible work hours and childcare at work, etc. The presenter mentioned in her presentation that globally the participation of women in renewable energy is getting momentum than that of the conventional one, meaning that the scope of economic activity for women in the renewable energy sector is seen to be much more promising. To tap this potential, we have to arrange focused training program for women. Our experience in the solar home system development was also very encouraging in the sense that it helped create a good number of women technicians utilizing their ideal time at home. I believe we can move forward with our past experiences in a better way, taking lessons from global experiences. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's already quite some prescriptions in this regard. I may come back to you if time permits, but in the meantime, I would like to move to the second panelist, Ms. Tanuja Bhattacharjee. So Tanuja, do you agree that energy needs and consumption behavior of men and women are different?
Thank you, Mudabbir Bhai. Let me take an opportunity also, to take the opportunity to thank GIZ and SREDA for organizing the event, and also all the distinguished guests and participants to make them available for attending this meeting. Before responding, I also want to mention that Christine gave an outstanding presentation, which is actually, giving us all the thoughts why sustainable development or sustainable energy development is implied in it, the inclusiveness, and it is actually, giving the opportunity to become even more and more, increasingly more inclusive. I am also wearing the hat of We Power, which is a network for fostering women engineers' participation in professional field and also encourage female students in STEM education. This is a platform, funded by, this is a platform supported by World Bank and also supported by ADB. And we have started in 2019, and I'm very glad to also, tell that I'm seeing Chairman BREB is here. BREB, BPDB, ITCOL, IEEE, though they are our distinguished partner, and we have also partners in all South Asian countries. And this platform is like GWNET. This is also promoting women professionals and also creating an enabling platform or a peer network for learning and sharing good experiences. Now, coming back to the question, Mudabbir Bhai, as you mentioned that whether the consumption and the behavior is different and the need is different. I want to rephrase it. I want to rephrase it in a way that why we have to put a gender lens to understand the different need and different, behavior. It is important because we are talking about sustainable development, and it is important to understand or put a gender lens. Biologically, there is no difference when we use energy or when we serve in energy related jobs or we find us in the energy network. But there is difference because we are primarily engaged or predominantly engaged some specified roles and some not. So having said this, sustainable energy, you are mentioning renewable energy, you are mentioning inclusive energy participation, and you are mentioning energy efficiency. Now you see what is the gender aspect here, how the different gender participates there. The thing is that if I go to the household energy consumption, which is 17% of the total GHG emission, it is across the globe. So there you see the residential energy consumption is 1/6 of the total energy consumption. And who are the driver behind the residential energy consumption? Because of the gender role, we see that okay, women are mostly they are using the energy consuming devices there. Now, whether they are more wasteful than man or whether they are less wasteful, this is not a biological phenomena, but this sometimes may happen because of the orientation and how our gender role is formed. The point is, there may be difference, there may not be difference, but we need to put a gender lens to analyze each of their role to understand, because it is very important now for the reason that as a consumer, the woman has a very specific role and very big influence actually, to govern the curve and even the load of peak and peak load. So that is the woman, they can be the driver there. Then there is, the conservation of energy that cannot be successful without the full participation, wholehearted participation, and the technical awareness of the female members in the household. So that is important. Thirdly, this is an era of renewable energy, and already Christine mentioned in her presentation that compared to the conventional energy, the women are more visible in the renewable energy paradigm regime. Then why? Because this is mostly with the off-grid application, and there in the renewable field, the consumer is changing and coming in the role of a prosumer. So when they are coming in the prosumer, then there is more opportunity for women, and we actually find that there are more women are participating. So what is the factor behind that we have to understand rather than giving the statement, because this is not an academic study and we can prove that they behave differently, but it is important to understand, yes, they might behave differently or they might have a very different role in achieving the energy goal. So, in the interest of time, I will stop here, and probably we will have to chance, interact in other points as well. But thank you very much for the for giving me the opportunity for organizing, and special thanks to all the distinguished participants. I again want to mention that you are attending this session. I see Secretary Power, I see BREB Chairman, I see DG Power Cell. This is making us so happy that it is important. We usually do not have the chance to interact with you, but we always try to tell that energy is not limited only providing to clean energy service, but energy is actually serving multiple SDG indicators. Here the SDG coordinator is also here, so I'm very happy. We all need to carry out the discussion, and I look forward to seeing you in future events as well. Thank you, Mudabbir bhai.
Thank you, Tanuja. Maybe I would like to now go to the third panelist, and my question to you, Appa, that how can clean energy contribute to women's empowerment? Maybe you can start with that. If you can finish in next 3 to 4 minutes, that will be very good for us.
Thank you, Mudabbir, and Assalamu alaikum to everybody. The way I would start is, what is women's empowerment? I would think that empowerment is giving a person something, an ability to make changes. And usually when you empower somebody, you don't take it away, you cannot take it away. It is something that she has already assimilated. So the way it can contribute to women's empowerment, clean energy in Bangladesh, I would think that, well, because the electricity is going everywhere, it's already nearly 95% electrified. I would think that for decentralized areas, it means more, and clean energy can give the access that people who are in unelectrified areas, the women, they can get access, and then that enables them to use the electricity. I'm talking about electricity only here. So if the electricity is supplied from solar or wind or hydro or anything like that, similar resources, that would be clean energy. But otherwise, it would not be. So this is not how clean energy contributes to women's empowerment is not correlated. But I think that electricity can contribute to women's education and literacy. So that is an empowerment. And then skill development. So that is also something that you need for making her life better, her status in society better. So, and also the knowledge base she can learn from all the media, this the radio, the community radios and TV, internet, and all the new technology that is now available through the phones, the mobile phones, and also about health and hygiene. These information, the telemedicine, these things are new technologies that is available now, and it can be available because of availability of clean energy in places where it is not electrified. So I think that's about it now. I think that's how women can be empowered with clean energy. Okay.
Thank you, Appa. Maybe I would like to make a common question to the three eminent panelists, and I would request that you try to reply in maybe 1.5 minutes, each of you, if you're interested. And my question is that, I mean, how can women be the change makers in building a society that focuses on energy responsible behavior? So maybe who can volunteer first? Maybe ma'am, member energy efficiency madam, maybe you can be the first, and then I would like to request the other panelists that if you can see it from your perspective, but only 1.5 minutes for each of you, please.
Thank you. In Bangladesh, women are traditionally more responsible in families in terms of influencing family members because of their strong emotional bonding to children and others. They are in a better position to motivate children to become responsible users of energy. As a result, I think they can become effective change makers quite comfortably in the society than their male counterparts. What they learn, what women learn, actually they learn by heart and try to pass it on to their children, to neighbors, and to relatives. Therefore, if we can appropriately aware them, make them aware of the benefits of responsible use of energy and energy efficient solutions for households, they will be able to create a multiplier effect on society. It's not always about being a technical person. Rather, women in general are more of a motivator and a mentor in their families, which in turn helps them to guide future generations of becoming energy conscious. Without needing to be a technical person, they will be the builders of the future energy leaders, and they can be a role model for as a change makers. That I believe so. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Tanuja?
Thank you. I think Christine has already, given the answer in her presentation that how the women participation, how it is higher compared to conventional energy structure than the clean energy sphere, because there is an opportunity to participation for everyone. Even the grassroots people, they can take their share as an entrepreneur, as a beneficiary. So having said this, that women can be the change maker because they really have their stake here and they really have the opportunity to play here, which is absent in conventional energy system for various reasons. Then later we see that more and more the role of IT is playing, a big role in grid integration, in localized grid, in advanced metering, and also in conventional energy or power sector industries. So there we find that even in the participation in STEM is lower, even in there might be some difficulties that we cannot overnight overcome in conventional power jobs, but there is a huge opportunity for the women in IT sector, and that's how we can have women in the change maker. Then the third thing, and probably the most important thing that GIZ is also very much propagating, that is the energy efficiency. If even we have to reduce 10 unit of energy per household, to whom we will go and how we will go? The question is, women can be the change maker, but if you give them the technical know-how, this is not that you will only motivate them with a good message and wearing a t-shirt or participating in a rally, but the important thing, give them the understanding how the energy pricing varies over slabs, how it is important to run the energy intensive devices in the off-peak hours. So that is the important thing. The mighty woman can be in the role of change maker if we let them to do so, and if we give them the right tool that they can use. And the last example, that in Bangladesh, we know that microcredit and the NGO sector who has their grassroots coverage, and women are, there is present compared to any other field their women is doing, and they're doing the public interaction more efficiently, that is proven. So we have to take that into account. We have to learn from there. And in the clean energy sector, they are performing well. We have to highlight that, and we have to integrate more, not for their interest, for our interest, to actually wear the hat that we are successful, we are pioneer, we are making significant contribution in clean energy sphere. That's it from my side. Over.
Thank you, Tanuja. Appa, What's your opinion?
I think I'm coming from a different field. Like, I think children learn from mothers at home and from teachers at school. So that's how I would think society that the mothers and teachers, female teachers, can contribute a lot to in building an energy conscious society. It's the basic things. Basically, the most useful thing that I need are I learned at primary school. That's the name of a book. So it's something like that. Basic awareness and practices could be that we learned at home. That children can learn at life when not in use, and not to be wasteful in use of any kind of energy. For example, cooking, we have to know that everything that we use has an energy content in it. So whatever we don't waste, save some energy. And choosing energy efficient appliances when purchasing, like bulbs and fans, stoves, air conditioners. These are things that people can learn from home. That's, I think, that how women can help in that. And also discuss about energy efficiency at home, at any place that they are at, discussions at homes and parties or with children at schools. And also, I think it is observed that more affluent a person or society is, the more wasteful they are. That's what I have observed. So many people leave their air conditioners on all the time or set at very low temperatures because they can afford to pay the bill, and small savings or over expenditure doesn't matter to them. These can be reduced if the mothers and women at home, they are more aware of the waste of energy, and they can help in giving the message in schools and community places and workplaces. Similar things happen since people don't spend their own money. So this is where we can make the difference. That's it.
Thank you, Appa. I think with this, we'll now move to the open discussion. And I have still a few questions left, and I would like to now make it openly to everyone. And whoever is interested, he or she can also comment. For example, do we think that our existing policies, roadmaps, or master plans in the power or energy sector, I mean, they are sufficiently gender sensitive, or we need to do more, for example? That's also open question. Maybe another open question that is already I see in the chat box, that how women's participation in the energy sector can be increased, and that has both the national context as well as the international context. I'm actually unable to restrict myself to, especially on the first topic, that on the existing policies and roadmaps. What is the view? I see Director General Power Cell Mohammad Hossain Sir on the screen. So, sir, may I have the honor to actually ask you the question that how do you see it from your perspective? Sir, please.
Thank you very much. I think you see I believe that whatever, though your answer is very specific to roadmap and others, but I strongly believe that this role of women in building an energy conscious society is enormous. Uh, in fact, though this audience is dominated by the people from power sector, but energy as a whole, if you just look back, the energy was being used by the women from the very beginning, whether it's traditional energy or the renewable energy, even our modern energy. And so the role of women definitely is very vital for energy savings, responsible use of energy, and also if you consider even the proportion of the users, I think the major portion will go to the women. So this is the forum where at least we can explore. We can, I think, at least you can say we can declare that this is where we should nourished that women should be involved in the energy sector for responsible use, efficient use, and also more in future for modern use of energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I also see Chairman BREB in Bangladesh. BREB plays a significant role in energy access in the rural areas, where most of our population are already there, especially, I mean, it's very important for the empowerment of rural women. So maybe, sir, within maybe 1 or 2 minutes, Chairman BREB, sir, could you kindly also state your views on this concept?
Mudabbir Bhai, may I take a question from the audience that is written in the chat box?
Yes, please.
The question is from Mr. Makfur that let's come out of the theory and get into reality. Can anyone enlighten how can we make people more energy conscious and stop keeping the gas stove on even when they are not in use? Such waste of energy. I would like to respond here. That is what I said. I cannot really, reiterate the poem from Rabindranath Tagore, যে যারে তুমি পশ্চাতে ফেলিবে সেই তোমারে পশ্চাতে টানিবে. The reason is there are two type of cooking behavior. If you have a LPG cylinder, that's one behavior. If you have to buy your energy, and if you get it at a fixed rate, then there is other type of cooking behavior. Then how it is different? When women, they know that this is the interest of their own family, for the best of their family, they use the most of the efficient devices that reduce the water boiling in the gas stove when it is bought, when it is LPG, and they use pressure cooker and retain heat cooker and many things. The point when they are not actually made aware, and this is our inability that we did not make them conscious about the national energy conservation, so they don't think that how this wastage will actually impact her or will impact her next generation, or will impact her community the next day, why the gas shortage is there, that she is not able to translate. Now she is not able to translate. This is not her fault. This is the fault of us that we did not sensitize them. And that is why we are trying to say women can be change maker if you can make the best use of them. But if you left them unconscious, unaware, then actually we have to take the burden and they will be wasteful. But as soon as you make them, this is the interest of the household and the interest of the nation cannot be different, then they will be the pioneer, they will be the torch bearer in saving energy. That's
Thank
it.
you, Tanuja. Thank you. Okay, still we have around 3-4 minutes before we go for the speech from the dignitaries. So any comment from the audience? You may raise your hand or put your name in the chat box. Or any question to the panelist or keynote presenter. Yes, Dishna, please.
Yes, I'm Dishna Schwartz, Planning Officer at the GIZ headquarters and also gender focal point of the division. As of my experience in other countries, just talking about the importance of the team won't help unless we have favorable framework conditions to proceed with, especially the political commitment and the budget. So can someone give us an insight about this situation in Bangladesh?
Mudabbir, can I add something?
Please, ma'am.
You rightly pointed out the political commitment of the government for gender inclusivity. In Bangladesh, the role of women in politics and government is much more visible than ever before. Our Honorable Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition party, the Speaker of the Parliament, all are women. Our Honorable Chief Guest herself carries a significant portfolio in the government. Not only that, in SREDA, the two main wings are led by two female members, the Renewable Energy Wing and the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Wing. And also the concerned desk officials for RE and energy efficiency in the power division are also females. So all these women representation in key areas signifies the government's commitment towards gender inclusivity. Our Honorable Prime Minister herself is the Minister for Power and Energy sector. Therefore, with all these women working for the power sector, we can say that the policies, roadmaps, and master plans for this sector are expected to be, to some extent, gender sensitive. We have programs on household energy platform. We have developed the National Clean Cook Stove Action Plan up to 2030. So these are the policies that already have been in place. And however, establishing a strong forum among the policymakers, engineers, business associations can produce much more gender-focused policies and programs. These forum where they can have regular dialogue, events, workshops for sharing their experience, success stories, exchanging ideas, and hence empowering each other will also, we believe that will also accelerate this kind of informed policy making. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Maybe I can also share a couple of information that according to the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index, Bangladesh is leading in South Asia on women's overall empowerment. And Bangladesh is ranked 5th in globally out of 149 countries. And Bangladesh is also one of the few countries in the world who actually adopted National Women Development Policy back in 2011. Maybe we can take one more question, and I see one hand, Shafiq. You have a question or comment? Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have just a couple of quick comments. First thing is, instead of only considering about energy, the role of women shall more be pronounced in terms of resources, because women have, if we consider altogether the rural contribution as well, so women have much broader relationship with natural resources, if you also consider the access to water as well in rural area. So that is one perspective. And another perspective, as the comment is there from Data Makfur Bhai, that is related to the energy wastage. On the other hand, that is the consciousness to conserve energy and work, be more efficient. So in that regard, my point is women's role. I mean, women should be more empowered to take the decision on purchasing of efficient appliance, because cooking is one part. There are a lot of appliances at the household level. So the design, the program, policy, all should be enmeshed in a way their purchasing decision, and women can be more empowered to take the purchasing decision on efficient appliances. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shafiq. Any comment from the audience? Any further comment? Maybe Shafiq, you can lower your hand so that I can see also others. Or any comment from the team of journalists or energy reporters? Okay. If not, then I would like to move to our final part of today's session. And before that, I have two apologies to all of you that unfortunately at the last minute from the Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, the dignitaries couldn't join because of unforeseen meetings at the last minute. And also second apology is also the GIZ country director, Dr. Angelica Flederman. She was there in the beginning, but she had to leave also to receive an urgent call and meeting. And she will be back in, I think she told me that in 5 minutes. So with the permission of the chair, maybe I would like to alter the special guests, and then we can already start our speech from the honorable dignitaries. And I would like to first start with Honorable Power Secretary, Mr. Mohammad Habibur Rahman. And before that, I would like to share another interesting information for all of you. That I think that was in October 2020, our Honorable Prime Minister, she already pledged to increase women's participation in the workforce to 50-50 by 2041. And that's the commitment she gave at the high-level meeting on the 25th anniversary of Fourth World Conference on Women that was held at the sideline of 75th UN General Assembly. So I saw one of the message also that in the chat that how the participation of women can be increased in the energy sector. And we also saw from the keynote presentation that yes, the women's overall participation, not only in the energy sector, but in the overall workforce, which also is a challenge. And there Bangladesh wants to move ahead in this topic, maybe wants to lead among the emerging economies. So now I would like to move to our Honorable Power Secretary, sir. Sir, would you please kindly deliver your speech to us?
Respected chair of today's webinar on role of women in building an energy conscious society, organized by SREDA in cooperation with the GIZ. Honorable Chief Guest, Ms. Joanna Aziz, Principal Coordinator, SDG Affairs, Prime Minister's Office. Special guest, Miss Dr. Angelica Pederman, Country Director, GIZ Bangladesh, Miss Salima Jahan, Member Joint Secretary, Renewable Energy, SREDA, my dear participants and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon to all of you. At the beginning of my speech, I would like to pay my humble honor and respect to the greatest Bengali of all time, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I would also like to pay honor and respect to the 3 million martyrs of the independence war. I would like to thank SREDA and also GIZ to arrange this webinar on the eve of the International Women's Day 2021. This webinar gives us the opportunity to take a look on a sector of the economy which is often not considered when we talk about women's equal chances for participation and leadership, the power and energy sector. Around the world and across the power and energy industry, there are fewer women than men on different career levels, especially in top tier leadership positions. According to a study by IRENA, the share of female full-time workforce in renewable energy sector is 32%, which is fortunately 10% more compared to conventional energy, but at the same time, only a third of the overall workforce. The Sustainable Development Goal 5 places the achievement of gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls at the heart of the United Nations 2030 agenda. In this respect, clean energy production and sustainable energy consumption can play a significant role. Sustainable energy development are a powerful instrument for development which can have a transformative impact on the inclusion and livelihoods of women, including in the access context. For that reason, the equal participation of women in all aspects of ongoing energy sector transformation must be fostered, as it is also a question of fundamental fairness. It needs to be emphasized that women's perspective, expertise and leadership are critical to ensure formed and inclusive decision making and a larger pool of talent in the clean energy sector. In this ongoing global pandemic situation, you would see more than ever that we can rely on women who play a major role in economic lives of their communities, and at the same time, through participation in less formal interaction, these informal economies, and therefore especially women, have been hit badly by COVID-19. As a result, we need to promote women's economic empowerment in clean energy sector to help Bangladesh in becoming more resilient and self-reliant during this pandemic and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, let us use the momentum of the current situation as to enable women's participation in the clean energy sector, and at the same time work more efficiently towards fulfilling our national renewable energy and energy efficiency commitments. With these few words, I would like to conclude saying thank you to SREDA and to GIZ for organizing the event, and also for having me as a special guest and give me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you, and back to Mr. Mudabbir Anam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring speech to us. I see that Dr. Flederman, Country Director of GIZ Bangladesh, is back. Actually, GIZ's gender strategy is a binding framework for all GIZ employees and workforce members, as well as in project design and implementation. GIZ supports gender equality through innovative and tried and tested approaches together with the government partners towards targeted awareness raising, exchanges, dialogue to encourage societal changes that ensure greater gender equality in the long term. I would now like to request Dr. Angelica Flederman, Country Director, GIZ Bangladesh, to deliver her speech.
Yeah, so now I'm unmuted. Yeah, thank you very much. And a very good afternoon. Mrs. Chief Guest Joanna Assis, Principal Coordinator, SDGs Affairs, Prime Minister's Office, Special Guest, Mr. Habibur Rahman, Secretary in the Power Division, Chairman, of course, Shreda, Mr. Mohamed Alauddin, and of course, special also guest Saidul Islam, Secretary from the Ministry of Women and Children Affairs. I'm not sure whether you are still here with us. Distinguished panelists and representatives from government, private sector, and civil society, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be actually for me now to be here, and my congratulations also go to Shreda for taking this initiative to do this event today, to organize this webinar on the role of women in building an energy conscious society. And we are also proud to be partner in this endeavor through our program, Renewable Energy, Energy Efficiency, which was agreed between the governments Bangladesh and Germany some time back. And we are, of course, as you also somebody was saying already, we are with the German government is with the Bangladesh government already for almost 50 years. We are working jointly on projects and programs for the social and economic development of Bangladesh, and is based, of course, on good relationship and also successful cooperation. And our energy sector, as we say, renewable energy and energy efficiency, is a priority area of German development cooperation for many years already. So I think it's a good time now to look at the gender aspects in the energy part. You know, we were planning some new projects also for the next, for the next years, and we always had the discussion also how to bring in more gender aspects. Mudabbir Anam was just saying, yeah, for GIZ, gender in the projects plays a big role. So how can we bring that in further? I think I don't have to say what important role that is to bring the aspects of women and to bring the gender aspect also into this work in the energy sector. I think everybody said already how important that is, be it that the services are gender oriented, or be it also that we capacitate. That was also one question actually in the past 2-3 months, actually, that we capacitate also further women in the technologies, for the energy sector to be part of the workforce in the energy sector, also in the renewable and energy and efficiency sector, to to be part of the workforce in Bangladesh. So let me thank you again, everybody who took part today in this session. It is, of course, part of what we say in GIZ, part of the gender week we have during this week. So we look at different aspects actually of gender in our projects, and as this year's theme was choose to challenge, I think this is a good word, meaning that the status quo should not be accepted, but we should move on. And we should actually see these challenges, and then also if we see that, try to overcome them. Also, we have more choices will be offered to us. So let us all, we would like to look into that. Let us challenge the inequalities which we have. Let us look also into that in the projects we are going to do with the Germany, with the Bangladesh government in the future, and overcome them. I think that is the starting point also from today. So at the end, please, on behalf of GIZ Bangladesh, I would like to thank everybody, all the participants, all those who have contributed today to this session. And a special thanks, of course, goes to Christine Linz, the Executive Director of Global Women Network for Energy Transition, for taking her valuable time and sharing her expertise here with us. Thank you so much. And also for Shreda, Chairman Mohammed Alauddin, for organizing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Flederman. We are proud to have with us Ms. Joanna Aziz, Principal Coordinator, SDG Affairs, Prime Minister Office, as the chief guest of today's webinar. And we are also proud to say that Bangladesh is one of the few countries in the world which has a SDG tracker, a national SDG tracker, which is hosted by the Prime Minister Office, and also a central coordination unit at the Prime Minister Office, headed by our principal coordinator, and which actually looks into not only the progress, but also how to achieve and contribute to these global SDGs from Bangladesh collectively. With this note, I would like to invite Ms. Joanna Aziz, Principal Coordinator, SDG Affairs, Prime Minister Office, to deliver her speech as the chief guest of today's webinar. Ma'am, please.
Respected Chair of the webinar, Mr. Mohammad Alauddin, Chairman SREDA, respected special guest, Mr. Habibur Rahman, Secretary Power Division, Dr. Angelica Fraser-Mann, Country Director GIZ Bangladesh, Member SREDA, Ms. Salima Jahan, Keynote Speaker, Ms. Christine Linz, Executive Director, Global Women's Networks for Energy Transition, distinguished panelists, dear participants and colleagues, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to you all. I am pleased to be here with you and have truly enjoyed both the keynote address and the panel discussion of the webinar titled Role of Women in Building an Energy Conscious Society. However, before going to say some word on today's event, let me offer you the greetings of Mujibiyar at first. We have been celebrating the centennial birth anniversary of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The dream of Bangabandhu was to build a Sonar Bangla, and with the visionary and dynamic leadership of his daughter, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, we have realized that dream, and Bangladesh has become a dazzling delta. In the 50th years of independence, we have been finally recommended to be graduated from the LDC by the UN, which reveals the success of socio-economic and environmental spheres of development. Like many developing countries, in Bangladesh also, women collect energy resource and water in many rural areas and in urban slums to serve the needs of cooking, cleaning, and so on. Hence, women have a closer connection with natural resources compared to men. Women are better aware of resource management. They have more understanding of the energy usage pattern at the household level. However, the role of women in energy or natural resources management is less pronounced and they don't receive the desired credit. Besides, women in some cases have a lack of access to information with regard to energy efficient appliances, which would help them optimizing and better managing energy consumption. Moreover, women are the worst sufferers of indoor air pollution, so awareness raising along with empowerment of women would perhaps lead to conscious and optimal decision making at household levels. Bangladesh has made some positive examples of women's engagement in the solar sector, even at the rural level. Our Honorable Prime Minister envisioned Bangladesh to be a developed country by 2041. To that end, the energy sector would see a significant transformation, and women in the next decades should have a bigger role. In that context, women would need to be equipped to be able to discharge the responsibilities that the energy sector would demand. We believe SEDA would devise an awareness raising program and organize necessary training for women. This would eventually empower women with the enhanced capacity to take the decision on conscious use of energy, including purchasing the energy efficient appliances. It would help society to change towards sustainable and conscious energy behavior and achieve SDG 7. Finally, the goals for national energy efficiency and conservation by 2030 would not be achieved if women, half of the country's population, are not sensitized and capacitated when they are intertwined with energy issues in their everyday life. Our Honorable Prime Minister makes us proud by showing her conscious energy behavior through switching off the lights and fans with her own hands when she leaves her office. This is the example that inspires every woman in this country to take the lead for an energy responsible society towards our journey onwards to the prosperous economy. I thank SREDA and GIZ for organizing this webinar. It would matter much when lessons learned from the webinar would be materialized on the ground. This may require consistent efforts from SEDA in this arena. With that note, I conclude here and thank the participants again for joining the event. Let me express my gratitude to SREDA for inviting me to this auspicious event. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening speech. I think we are now at the end of today's session, and I would like to request the host of today's initiative, Mr. Muhammad Alauddin, Chairman, Sustainable and Renewable Energy Development Authority, to deliver the concluding speech. Sir, please.
Thank you, Mudabbir. Good afternoon. Honorable Chief Guest of the workshop, Ms. Joanna Aziz, Principal Coordinator, SDG Affairs, Prime Minister's Office, our respected special guest, Mr. MD Habibur Rahman, Secretary, Power Division, Ministry for Energy and Mineral Resources, our keynote speaker, Ms. Christian Lins, panelist and expert from energy sector, representative of various organizations, my colleagues from SREDA, energy specialists from GIZ, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Let me convey my thanks for joining this event. I am also honored to be a part of today's event organized on the occasion of the International Women's Day, which also coincides with Mujib Borsha, birth centenary of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and also 50th anniversary of our independence in this holy month of March. we all know that the UN Women designated this, the theme of this Women's Day is encompasses women's leadership. So I also put on record as an employee of SREDA that out of 4 executive positions, 2 positions are held by 2 female officials, as you know already. You are aware that the very institution of SREDA is the manifestations of government firm commitment towards development of sustainable energy, and we are struggling to basically increase the share of renewable energy in the energy mix, and also doubling the improvement in energy efficiency by 2030 as articulated in the SDG 7. Also, attainment of these goals will ultimately contribute towards SDG 5, SDG 13, which is for climate change mitigation, as it appears from that how it is linked to gender. Although we have specific goal for gender under SDG 5, but it is overwhelmingly reality is that it will not be possible to meet the target of affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all by 2030 unless the energy needs of women are met, and also in reality energy access and gender equality are basically interlinked. That's why this webinar is very much important. I am impressed by the wonderful presentation of Christian Lenz. He has very succinctly placed before us the power of women, how to energize the woman, and also how role of women goes beyond their human right. It has also implications for our economic development, and I believe you all with me on this point that she has put the research findings as to how women's participation increases the GDP even, which basically is a new information to me. Thank you, Ms. Lin. And you all know that for the Christian Lin's presentation, of course, prompt us all to take initiative to increase the share of women employees in our job market. Already renewable energy market, job market is ahead of the conventional one, as you came to know from the presentation. But we all have to play our role to break the barriers like traditional perception of gender roles, cultural and social norms, and prevailing hiring practices, etc. Let us challenge this gender biasness and inequality in energy sector and work together for making the society energy conscious. In the end, I would like to thank GIZ for its continuous support in promoting renewable energy and energy efficiency all over Bangladesh since its inception, and being a partner for today's webinar on the occasion of International Women's Day. Last but not the least, I would also like to thank the participants for managing time to join today's virtual session and make it vibrant and meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So with this note, with the permission of the chair, we'd like to conclude today's session. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you distinguished delegates and participants for your contribution. We will share the summary of the today's webinar to all of you through email as well as the keynote presentation. Thank you. Thank you all. Stay safe and sound. Bye-bye. Allah Hafiz.